Hey, what is going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the SurgeCast, Season 2, Episode 13. And if you're on the YouTube version, you might see our guest here at the bottom. But before we get to him, this podcast is presented by Prime X Hockey, Level Up Snacks, and In the Clutch Apparel. I'm your host, Zach Martin.
I'm Bailey Curtis.
And this is going to be a fun show. I'm really excited. Bailey, just real quick, how are you doing today?
I feel like I'm a little starstruck right now. I feel like I have like the same feeling that I had with Minter. I don't know. Like I've been super excited for this episode. With all the kind of stressors going on in my life lately, like this has definitely been something I've been looking forward to for a while. So I'm doing great. How are you?
Doing good. I know you messaged me the first time after I had Walt on our guest on the first time, which I think I just gave it away, but everyone is coming on. It's all right. I know you were kind of like, I can't believe I missed the episode with you having him on. I'm like, don't worry. In the future, it's probably going to happen, but no, I'm doing good. Just first day of training camp. Hockey's officially back, so thank goodness. No more waiting. It's now just, all right, let's see what happens. But you know what? Let's just get to our guest. He took the time out to come talk to us. An amazing guy. It's just, I'm really excited to have the Carolina Hurricanes team reporter and editorial content producer, the man himself, Walt Ruff. Walt, how are you doing today, man?
I'm good. Thanks to y'all for having me back on again. Second time appearance. I appreciate it.
No, of course, definitely. I know it's a little bit different because I know we didn't have you on the video the first time, so a lot of people got to miss like the first initial show with you on. But now we got you on the second one, and you're in an interesting location for this one, for this show.
I am. Well, first I'm going to say that the audio-only version is probably going to get better ratings because you chose to put this on camera.
Oh, be quiet.
Sure.
Coming to you live from Press Row, as you all can see behind me there, the PNC Arena Ice, which got its first official workout, 2 workouts this morning, 2 groups of players out there. So, yes, happy first day of training camp to the both of you. It's a very exciting day. We are finally back in hockey season, and although it was a short summer, it still felt long at times, right? But now here we are, right back in the mix.
Yeah, for sure. So if anyone's not watching the YouTube version, you better get on it because we just got a great view of the press row. And of course, you get to see where all the great photos from the season from Walt's perspective comes out every game, which is just absolutely phenomenal. Great stuff. But I have to say that 25th anniversary logo on the ice, that looks so clean.
So great.
It does. It looks pretty good. And I'm obviously biased, but I think there's a lot of things that it has going for it. And I hope the fans, when they finally get to see it as well, I know some did this past weekend with the Prospect Showcase, but I hope when everybody gets to see it that they enjoy it because I think it's a really nice touch. Obviously, you can only do it for 1 year, right? So, team did it, and I think it looks good.
Oh,
I'm super excited too because I have not stepped foot in PNC Arena since January of 2020, and I will be officially back because I live in Colorado, so I'll be back for the Stadium Series, and I'm attending the Montreal game that Thursday beforehand, so I'll be able to step foot in PNC Arena again. It's going to be so cool seeing it in person.
That'll be great. You picked a really good week to come because I know our marketing staff is really excited. That's not only, everybody looks at it as Stadium Series, like the game, but it's really going to be a whole week of festivities.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a lot of stuff coming out that we're really excited to announce. So I think you picked a really good time.
I'm super excited. Any details that you can potentially spoil?
I probably shouldn't, but
way to go, Bailey. Way to put the man on the spot.
I like it. That's how you get scoops. That's how you get the inside details.
I mean, for sure.
I probably almost said something I shouldn't, but
darn it.
No. I'm sure hopefully we'll get to talk again when all the information goes public. But I know there's a ton of work going on with our executives and higher level folks. The NHL has been in town pretty regularly talking about the Stadium Series and what type of events that the team and in conjunction with them they want to put on, and it should be some really cool stuff. I mean, this is what the league likes to do, right? This is a marquee event for the league, and every time they do it, they want to make it better than the year before. So so far it sounds like that's going to be the case for Raleigh, and I would say February can't get here soon enough, but I guess we should stay in the moment, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Within itself, we don't need to rush post All-Star break festivities.
Right. I mean, you'll have your work cut out for you anyway, so take it step by step.
Exactly. That's a really good point.
Yeah, because in fact we got fans on the field for the first time for this game, so that's gonna be really interesting to see how that's gonna work out. You know, with all the tickets finally went on sale for the season ticket holders, and we got a lot more stuff coming on like in October and the general admission and all that too. But going back to like just being in the barn for the first time with the new ice, I know I'll be there opening night in a couple weeks, so I'm really excited for that. That's my first home opener. I want to see at least a couple decades. So it's going to be nice being back to doing that as well. But there's a lot of cool stuff. But well, I have to ask you, when you saw the jersey release for the new alternates, the modern throwback as we're calling it, what were your first thoughts when you saw that? Because those things are so clean.
I think they're pretty cool. I mean, I didn't have any objection to the red uniforms as they were, but as it was stated both in the press release and the article, I think, people have taken a liking to the black uniforms, right? So it made sense naturally to go with those as the primaries. But then to kind of put that past meets present version on the reds it's really cool. The silver really makes it pop in a way that you almost kind of, I don't know, maybe again, I have to be honest with myself because as somebody, I grew up a Philadelphia Flyers fan, so I'd probably be more versed in Flyers jersey history as opposed to Canes, but the silver brings back an element that you almost didn't realize how much it was. I don't want to say needed either, because again, the reds were great, but when you see the silver, you're like, wow, that looks really good. And so, initial reaction's been good from the fan base, and so far so good in the 25th anniversary festivities.
I know, yeah, because that's they were actually, the silver was like that for the 05, 06, 06, 07 jersey. So that's kind of a nice added touch. They kind of brought those back, because I know there was the other ones like 07 to 08, they kind of went to just like the matte style silver, but I know the original sparkle silver that they had for those jerseys were like 2002 to 06-esque type stuff. So it's really cool. They kind of like just brought the whole thing back, the fonts back and all that great stuff. And
they really took throwback and ran with it.
Yeah. Original OG alternate logo and everything, the font style, the more bolden version of the warning flags at the bottom. It's just so nice. And I did get kind of a confirmation from Mike Foreman himself that they're going to try to work on adding the apostrophes for Brenda Moore's name on the jerseys on the website and hopefully in the stores too. So I might have to get my all-time favorite Hurricane on a jersey. So I'm really, really excited for that. But Walt, are you going to try to get one of these jerseys, or is there a certain player or a name, or are you just going to go with Walt or Ruff? Like, what's the plans for you with these
Take
jerseys?
a page out of Minter's book.
Yeah, there you go.
I think I'll let that one to him. I hadn't really thought that far ahead, to be honest. I am excited for, with getting them on the website and, just seeing the interest form and those racking up. I'm excited. I wish we had them in stock right now so everybody could get them. But
October
6th, everybody will be able to get them. I'm excited for everybody to be able to get them. And I'll let everybody else get theirs, and maybe that'll make up my mind by who I would want to get.
Yeah. No, I totally understand that. But backtracking before all of this, I know we got all other stuff to talk about, but how was your off season? Because I know last time I talked to you was during the Rangers Hurricane series, and we were kind of hoping there would be no extra interviews super quick. Hope you get a longer stretch and you maybe talk a little bit more, but unfortunately it is what it is. But like, what was it like for you, going through the extra interviews and then going through like your off season? I know you went on vacation for a little bit too. So like, how was all that for you?
It was good. It felt short. I will be honest. It did not feel like a very long summer. It didn't get to spend too long away. I was very fortunate to get to go up to Pennsylvania to see some family and friends for a long weekend. But between exit interviews, going to Montreal for the draft, that was probably one of the highlights. That was really cool.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Getting to go there, and then free agency the next week, and then we had development camp. So, there really wasn't a whole lot of downtime, to be honest, but that's okay. Because
I feel like that'll definitely help it feel short, because I know for us fans who have nothing else to do, it felt like a lifetime.
Yeah, definitely. And exactly. I think it was only something like 114 days from yesterday or today to, the first day of training camp. And that's really not that long, especially when you put all those events together. So short, but we are right back at it, and looking forward to, what will now be about 9 consecutive months of some more hockey.
So
which is never a bad thing for sure.
Right. And kind of saying today, first day of training camp, what are your kind of first thoughts seeing everybody out on the ice?
It was, it was funny when they were getting back to the ice. It was like, wow, okay, we're really doing this. We're back. It was one of those things like, training camp's coming, it's coming, and then all of a sudden you see guys start filing out of the tunnel, and it's like, oh, okay, this is actually happening. So it was cool. There's obviously a lot of guys here right now. I believe 47 skaters, 6 goaltenders.
Yeah.
2 skaters in Ryan Suzuki and Kevin Fitzgerald, who we will maybe not see throughout the course of camp, maybe Suzuki a little bit later. He's dealing with an upper body injury. But yeah, just to have everybody back in 2 groups and on the ice, seeing all the coaches out there. And it's funny, we're so accustomed to seeing just Rod, Jeff Daniels, Tim Gleason, Paul Schoenfelder. Well, today you've got the development coaches, you've got Brock Shea and the AHL head coach. So we're looking out there at one point and there's like 10 coaches on the ice. You've already got a full slate of players and then that amount of coaches as well. It was a very busy morning.
Oh, I can imagine. So, like, was there anyone in particular kind of like stood out to you, or you just kind of like, okay, a lot of guys, too many to watch? Like, was there anyone that kind of stood out to you?
Well, so what I'll say is, if you look at the breakdown of the groups, the first group, which I guess they're going with C1 and C2. I know in the past, Rod has gone with like grit and determination as group names, but C1 has a lot of NHL experience. Every single skater has NHL experience. The only player on the group that doesn't is Patrick Hammerla, who's the third goalie. And he had his, welcome to the NHL practice moment this morning as well, if you will. They did, occasionally, periodically throughout practice, Rod will blow the whistle, and he picked somebody to go in like a shootout style. And Aho went against Hammerla, and Sebastian Aho won that battle, but I digress. And, I'm very curious to see the second group. Honestly, I do have a strong affiliation for guys who are, on the bubble, if you will, guys who have proven themselves in the American League, but are just looking for an NHL shot. And I think, if you're looking at the second group, someone who I'm keeping a close eye on, it's day one. It's, easy to overreact, but don't sleep on the signing of Malte Stromwall. 19 KHL last year. It was kind of one of those signings that happened on like a Friday night in July. It's not a household name. Everybody's like, okay, he'll be at camp, but he looked good today. I mean, he was really good in the skating. Again, I'm not going to get too far into it, but yeah, that second group with Stromwall, Zingle, Lane Peterson, guys like that. I mean, this time last year, Seth Jarvis was in group 2, right?
Yeah.
He played his way into group 1. So those are the things that admittedly get me pretty excited this time of year because, those storylines kind of start to develop and you see what transpires. So that's something I'll keep an eye on as we are now only 5-6 days away from the first preseason game.
I know, it was just crazy because like looking at like the second roster, like you said, I mean, Lane Pearson, like Maxime LaJoie, everyone knows how he was in Chicago. I mean, if you go back to the prospect tournament, like Bobby Orr, he was always putting his name out there. I mean, Alexander Passion with a lacrosse goal, that was just absolutely disgusting. Just him doing that as well. And then, looking at everyone else, I mean, Jameson Reese, he was all over the, broadcast, like fighting guys like twice his height.
Yeah. He's got fire. Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah,
we know the fans like that.
Yeah, for sure. And then Blake Murray came out of nowhere, scored 2 goals in a game that really made things interesting when it was like 4-2, then it was 4-4 going into the overtime. It's like, all right. But I would say even Vasily Ponomarev, he really stood out to me through the prospect tournament as well. So, like you said, there's so many names in that second group that you're kind of like, okay. I think that prospect showcase kind of helped out, like getting a lot of eyeballs on those guys that you would never even think about.
Totally. And we know who the core group is going to be for the Hurricanes this year, right? Nobody's going to be surprised. Sebastian Aho, Teuvo Teravainen, like you kind of know who's going to be the core group of like your top 9 forwards. You know who the defense is going to be essentially outside of the last 3. And so you're absolutely right. Those guys in that second group, like we asked Brock Shan about the tournament and he pointed out Ponomarev as somebody who stood out to him. And, you got to think that he could be a major player for Chicago this year. And I mean, again, I say that very preemptively because what if he completely lights up main camp and then all of a sudden we're having a conversation like we did with Seth Jarvis this time last year? So
for sure.
It's those sorts of things. Blake Murray, who was, I believe, the lone contracted player in Norfolk last year. And then you'd have to think that he's wanting to, at minimum, be in Chicago this year. So things like that. It's a lot of storylines from that second group that do make things interesting because, again, we know what we know, but it's maybe what we don't know that's more interesting.
Right. And that's where my kind of question's coming into. We mentioned that there's not much surprise as far as at least the 9 forwards and the 2 pairings. Have you guys gotten any glimpse of how they're going to start deciding that third or those last 3 defensemen, or what does that look like so far?
I will say I jotted down from my notes, and I had a couple people asking if I was going to tweet the lines today. Too soon for that.
Mike Smith did a great job with that. It's like it's too soon. It's day 1 at camp. It's not that serious. It's going to change. It's like it was just so great.
Exactly, and I will say, admittedly, I asked my boss. I was like, "Do you want me to put it out there?" And he's like, "No, don't worry about that." So I was like, "All right." But today
game 1 maybe of preseason.
Right. Yeah, exactly. We'll get to that next week. They had Coughlin and Chatfield together today, and then DeHaan working with Ethan Bear. But again, it wouldn't surprise me at all if those are mixed up tomorrow. So
for sure.
Who knows?
It definitely changes things too because everyone thought Jay Gardner was going to be back. Now he's going to be on LTIR, so that's probably going to shake a lot of things up too. I mean, Calvin DeHaan, play with the Canes before, but then like you said, you got Chatfield and you got everyone else. It's definitely going to make it very interesting, even with Coughlin and Bear back. With Coughlin now here and then Bear back, it's going to be very interesting to see how the Canes are going to do 5, 6, and 7 for the defense. Like, do you think just having Gardner on LTR kind of changes the dynamic of that defensive fight for those positions?
It's hard to say, but it's a good problem to have, right?
Right. Yeah, of course.
As opposed to, think about it this way. If Calvin DeHaan pushes for a spot and that's, a potential curveball, like you said, he already has familiarity with the coaching staff the system. So it's not as if it's just, this complete outsider who played his way into a roster spot. He knows what's going on here. So the way I look at it is it's a great problem to have. You look at some of these names who may be on the outside looking in of, maybe Max Lajoie or William Lagesson. Like, if those guys go to Chicago, that's a really good, if they're together 1-2 or split 2 separate pairs. So that's something that popped into my mind a couple times throughout the skates today is like, no matter which way this shakes down, Chicago AHL should be really darn good again.
Oh, yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And I know that's what a lot of fans were kind of worried about, given how free agency kind of shook out for Chicago. And it made us kind of wary. These are the Calder Cup champions, and the team looks totally different this year.
Yeah. That's a great point, Bailey, because Josh Levo moves on and goes to St. Louis, Andrew Podorowski in Seattle, and it's like, oh my goodness. But then it's like, now wait a second. When you look at all the pieces who they have coming up to fill these spots, you just can't give Don Waddell and the hockey ops staff enough credit because it's like, you and I are thinking about step 1, step 2, and they're already on step 10. So
right. It's basically playing 4D chess while the rest of us are trying to figure out checkers for sure.
Exactly.
So, like I said, a lot of new faces also with the Hurricanes, just outside of PTOs and stuff like that. You got Brent Burns, you got, like I said, Coughlin, you got Andre Koschak. Like, with all the new guys that are kind of now with the Hurricanes, like, how are they looking? Like, do you think they're kind of like fitting in well with the team already early on, or like, what about those guys are kind of standing out to you? Like, even like Paul Stastny, which was like out of like left field,
out of the blue. No
one had that on the bingo card of like, oh, the Hurricanes are going to go get this guy. Like, how are those new guys kind of looking to you so far after day 1?
Well, what was really an eye-opener to me was that for media policies this year, they opened up the locker room, whereas in years past, it would just be like, okay, we're going to talk to Rod, Slavin, and Teravainen today. They would bring them to a podium down the hall in the media room, and that's it. That's who you got to talk to.
Right.
So we got to walk in the room, and it was really interesting to see the whole environment Everybody was in a fantastic mood, which was, it's funny. Some guys, I don't want to misquote what Rod said today, but it was something like, we're all excited, but it's the first day of training camp after all. Like, we're all here to play hockey. Like, going through these grinding, like, hour-plus practices sometimes isn't the most glamorous thing in the world.
Right.
But in the room, everybody was in a great mood. Everybody seemed to be getting along. You had guys mingling. They were all, cracking jokes of stuff like, oh, the media's back and stuff like that. But
yeah, right. Of course. They're like, oh, great, these guys are back.
Yeah, the sense of camaraderie in there was really strong. And I know a lot of guys, like, we all know this isn't their first time skating together. A lot of them have been here for close to a month already skating together informally. So
right, yeah.
I think it speaks volumes about an organization when you have guys that do that, especially like I got to talk to Lane Peterson today. He is somebody who, and he said himself, he's on the bubble. He's competing for a roster spot, and he got here over a month ago, just trying to familiarize himself with the team, with the guys.
Right.
When you have guys that want to be here that early, I think that's huge. And I think that's
for sure.
a lot.
I think it shows a lot too. And I know just with my experience, maybe not with hockey, but just in sports in general, just going that extra mile too can say a lot about your passion for the game. And I know sometimes talent can't outweigh hard work and putting in that determination and being there and wanting it, like showing that you are there because you want to play NHL hockey.
Totally. Yeah. And then being around people who you want to be around too. Like, they're not obligated to show up until, I guess, yesterday. But, they hear great things about the informal skates that, guys like Jordan Stahl and Jacob Slavin lead. And so they want to get here. They want to be a part of that. And again, culture within the locker room it's a special thing here.
Oh, for sure. And especially Brent Burns too, coming in and just absolutely killing it in the gym already. Drew, I heard he drove up in the RV from Texas. Yeah, I was like, he's just going to come and bring that whole like group with him as well. And it's like, you seeing him in Carolina, you're kind of like, okay, this is going to be fun because you're bringing Brent Burns' personality to Carolina, and obviously he's going to fit in really well here. Like, even today,
I need a bench press competition with him and Rod.
I know Brent's kind of like, I'm not going to go do that because he knows he's probably going to get worked.
Somebody asked Rod today if they had worked out together yet, and Rod he laughed, but he said he couldn't compete with him anymore. So
I don't know about that. It's Rod Brendamore. Let's be a little. I think he's trying to be a little humble. Like, come on.
I agree. But you should hear everybody raving about Brent Burns and his work ethic. Director of Strength and Conditioning, Bill Burnison, I mean, man, he's been working with him for, like 6 weeks to 2 months now, and he's an absolute monster. So,
yeah. And I know that's something a lot of people were kind of concerned about too, is his age. And coming into the like this kind of almost young core, and just kind of seeing him put in this work and seeing what he's capable of too, it makes you kind of want to throw that out the window. And it's like, this dude.
I think it's 777 points, and Mike want to have a word about his age. It's like, no, he
is proving that the phrase age is just a number. Everybody's like, oh my goodness, he's 37. He hasn't missed a game in the last 6 years. Like, who cares?
Something like that. Yeah, he's aging like fine wine. It's 3 more years of Brent Burns, like quarterback in PP1. Not going to be upset about that.
Sign me up.
Yeah, for sure. Which was funny because Chip Alexander tweeted out, like, there was a unit with Burns, Kasha, Aho, Tara Vinen, and Jarvis. Like, what was that like? Just seeing like that group kind of together, like. Does it kind of, like, I'm all for that because that sounds like a fantastic power play unit together.
Yeah,
if it comes to fruition.
I will say it was brief. It was brief today, and I think it was just kind of, again, some of it will be trial and error at the start.
Of course.
We'll see a couple different looks, but Kasha to me was the name that stood out there, but it's also not incredibly surprising. He's a very gifted player on the offensive side of things.
Oh, he is.
Thing is that he just needs to stay healthy, and so for him, and then the second unit today had Coughlin as well. So a couple new pieces to the potential power play units. Again, they'll change tomorrow, but
right, of course.
Some things that we could see, right?
Yeah, because I know Coughlin's got a massive bomb of a one-timer too. Because I know when Vegas had Chicago as their affiliate, like you saw a lot of him in Chicago and the way they would always set up to him on the power play and he would just bomb it from the point because he's got a wicked one-timer. That wouldn't be a bad option either because I know they were talking about Jake Gardner if he was going to be healthy in camp, might be that other guy. But if Coughlin finds a way to put himself on the roster day one, and if they want to see how he does on the power play unit too, wouldn't be upset about that either. So I mean, it's definitely really exciting. Like, it's gonna be very interesting. But like, what? So I know you're going into your year 2. Like, what are you kind of looking forward to when it comes to like camp and like opening night and stuff like that? Because I know you went through season 1. What are you kind of like expecting or hoping for a season 2 with the Hurricanes?
Well, I'm curious to see, how these new pieces fit in, right? There's no two ways about it. Losing Nino Niederreiter, Vincent Trocheck, and Tony DeAngelo, like those were 3 big pieces of last year's team.
Right.
But the expectation does not change. This time last year, the team wanted to win a Stanley Cup. Today, the expectation is to win a Stanley Cup.
Right, of course.
So how do the new pieces fit in? For the here and now, who wins the roster battles? I think that's incredibly exciting to me because no matter how you draw, we know essentially what the top 6 might be like. Do Jordan Staal and Jesper Fast stay together? If so, who's left wing 3? Right. And then how does that 4th line shake out? So those are the things for the here and now that I'm looking forward to seeing. And last season was pretty darn magical in the sense of 54 wins and 116 points. So how do you top that, right? Like, that's really difficult to top. And if they don't, how does it transpire? Is it in a way of which, do they get close? Do they still hit 50 wins? Do they, break 100 points, which is looked at as a pretty good, tier to be at? So all of those things, how they, you can never replicate exactly how things go, but I'm curious to see how everything shakes out and everything comes together this season.
And there's a big start to top compared to last season too, with 9-11 wins to start the season too. So it'll be very interesting to kind of see what kind of changes and differs based on that team versus this team that we're looking at today.
Totally. And that's a great point to make. How special was last season and how much of it had to do with starting the season 8-9-0. Like, that set the tone on the right foot from day one. And so it's a great point. The start of the season absolutely does matter.
No, definitely for sure. So we know there's, like, we talk about all the key additions and stuff like that of new guys coming in, but like, what does it for you? What does it kind of look like for like guys like Ethan Bear and Martin Necas, who kind of had a little bit of a struggle last season and now they're coming into camp and now you got a lot more potential bodies that could make a case for themselves and kind of shuffle like the forwards and the defensive core? Like, what are you kind of seeing with those guys? Like, what's the mindset for those two possibly going into a camp that how it is right now?
Well, they're both competitive guys, right? They want to prove that they're better than they were last year, or at least what showed up on paper for them last year. It's not, these guys, they're very smart individuals. They're not just great hockey players, but it's like, a situation like Ethan Bear, he knows, there's some competition there, right? But he also wants to prove that he can belong. And for Martin Necas, maybe not so much in terms of worrying about his roster spot. He still figures to be probably a top 6, minimum top 9 winger.
Right.
And there was the question at his exit interviews of which he brought up he wanted to play a little bit of center. Does that happen? I don't know. That remains to be seen throughout camp. But he just wants to prove that he's better than he was last year. And I don't think there's any doubt for anybody who watches him play on a regular basis that he can be better than he was last year. Now it's just a matter of putting it together and showcasing that he absolutely will. He's got all the speed, all the skill in the world, but for him, does he go to the front of the net more? Go to those dirty areas that we know Rod Brindamore loves to see goals scored from.
Yeah.
So,
and something we say on the podcast a lot too is from watching the Canes as long as we both have, especially recently, the Canes are really good at getting those greasy goals. Like, there is a lot of skill on the team, but we'll seldomly see highlight reel goals. And it, like when you talk about like skill and getting it to the back of the net, no matter how it gets back there, a lot of that skill I see come from Martinez. And how do you kind of switch that mindset in, using that skill to go for those greasy goals to actually, be the player that he can be and get those goals and produce the way that we know how, or
I think
we
it's
know
just
he knows how.
a wanting and a willingness from him. And I think maybe that also in an exit interview, he and Rod both talked about trusting each other a little bit more, and maybe that there's stuff that they had to learn about each other yet. So is it something that the coaching staff is able to unlock out of them? Only time will tell, right? Like, it's easy for us to say, like, oh, if Martinez just went to the front of the net more, he'd get
Right.
more.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like,
Easier said than done, you know?
yeah, right,
Mhm.
exactly.
The way that his skill set allows him to play the game, we know where he's dynamic and, where we think he could add more to his game. But ultimately, at the end of the day, that's for the coaching staff and for the player himself to figure out. So again, something to keep an eye on here as we progress. That you can start to see those things, if Martinez bangs home a rebound at the top of the crease in preseason, that's great and all, but can he do it over an elongated period of time?
Mhm.
So all I can say is it's something to absolutely keep an eye on as we progress throughout the course of the season.
Oh, no,
Yeah.
definitely for sure. So going back to the prospect term real quick, like I know they had the 5K on that Sunday. Everyone got pancakes, did all that, and got to see the team
I
play.
didn't get pancakes. Where from
You did? Oh, all right. We need to talk to someone from the Hurricanes.
Yeah,
Somebody get on that.
Come on,
Walt, right here. I didn't see no
someone,
maple syrup.
someone
Sorry,
get Walt his pancakes because that is a
Oh
travesty.
my God.
All right, well, we got our first controversy of the season. Walt Ruff did not get his pancakes.
Yes, I don't know who.
We will not let this rest.
Man,
But what was that experience like? Because I know that this was the first like sold out 5K in a long time for the Hurricanes, and just get to see everyone that's been there and stuff like that. People got to go to the eye, got to check all the new 25th anniversary gear. Like the Rollywood shirts are really nice, and all the vintage stuff as well. But like, what was that experience like for you going to see the 5K, seeing the guys on the stage beforehand, and going to
Busy
watch
day too. Yeah.
watching that too, and like, were you also able to talk to the TV side of things as well? Because I know you're kind of busy with all the writing stuff, but were you able to meet with with like Mike and Shane and Tripp and Hannah Yates, our new pre-game, in-game person as well? Like, were you able to talk to them at all too? Or like, what was that day like for you?
Yeah. So first of all, I want to give major props to everybody in the Hurricanes, both community and marketing departments, because that's a big event.
Yeah.
Right? That's a huge event, and I just found out from Lindsay Robertson, who does a great job of running the CR department, that through the 5K, the the foundation is going to be able to give $50,000 back to the community. So
That's
That's
fantastic.
fantastic.
Deal, right?
Yeah.
So kudos to them. And I mean, we think it's early for the people who have to get up and, just be there at what time, 8:30 a.m. It's the people like her and her team who you don't see getting up at 3 a.m. to make sure that stuff is set up before the people show up. So they all did a really fantastic job with that, and a great success. It was nice to have the guys coming. I think that's something that shouldn't be overlooked either, having as many guys come out as they did on what again, the official start of training camp was yesterday with physicals, headshots, that sort of stuff.
Right.
You're not obligated to show up to the 5K, but they did, and a lot of them did. So I think that speaks volumes about the organization and the culture as well. So you have to give them a ton of credit. And to answer the second part of the question, yes, today and in days past, like Mike Maniscalco is always around the office, right? I connect with him pretty frequently for getting Canes Cast up on the website and things like that.
Right.
Tripp and Hannah were both at today's practice. I know Hannah's got a lot going on. I don't want to be one of those people who just overwhelms her. It's
right, for sure.
You're moving to a new city and then you have to meet 3,000 people in 3 days.
Right, for sure.
You never want to be that person who's like, oh, what's your name again? So
totally, for sure.
Letting her ease into the role, I think she's going to be fantastic. I know we're all really excited to see a lot of great Bally broadcasts again this year, and
100%.
It should be a really fun year.
Yeah, no, for sure. I actually just finished listening to the latest Canes Cast this morning, actually, and obviously fantastic job as always by just everyone doing that. I'm curious to see if Yahtzee is going to catch on for Hannah Yates's nickname, because that is just a fantastic. It's like I like how Shane's like reaction is like, oh, there it is. That's going to probably
when you know, right?
For sure. I'm curious though. Do you have a nickname that they've been using on you as well, or are they still trying to figure that out? Because I'm curious. Because we got Shane's got one. We know we got Big Rig. We got Yahtzee probably. Does Walt Ruff got a nickname that isn't really been out there yet, or is that still a work in progress?
You know, if I do, it's one that is probably being said behind my back. So at least I don't think I have one right now. The good news is that Walt and Ruff are obviously pretty short, so I think I get those and that's it. But yeah, to my knowledge, I don't have one, but I can't tell you definitively that I don't.
Yeah, right, for sure. So I have to ask you. So I know we talked about like different food places in Raleigh and stuff like that. Have you any more updates on potential like better barbecue places you've been to, or just food in general that you've kind of been able to take time off now with the off season? The off season you had, I know it was busy, but also not so busy. Like any updates on the food situation for you in the Raleigh area?
I forget what I told you I liked last time, so that's what I'm trying to rack my brain on.
Yeah, I need to go back and be like, what did Walt say about certain places?
Well, I will tell you my favorite spot that I found in the Triangle. It's in Durham, and it's called Farmside Kitchen. It is like Chipotle, but for salads. Go down the line, and it's like, you can pick your spinach, arugula, romaine, spring mix, and then you pick your protein. You pick like carrots, tomatoes. So I love that sort of stuff.
I gotcha.
If I had to give you, that's my number one right now. I took a friend. Actually, this was since we've talked last. I took a friend to the Pit in downtown. He enjoyed that. So there you
go.
There's your. Again, I can't give you too much insight on the barbecue stuff.
Right, of course, yeah. Have you tried Raising Cane's yet? Because I know that's a big thing for a lot of people, like Raising Cane's and Cookout. Have you tried those at least, or are you still kind of like not there yet?
I had Cane's in Texas, and I had what was the other one?
Cookout.
Yeah, I had Cookout when I was with Norfolk, the ECHL. So both of those all. I've had Bo's, obviously.
Of course, I mean.
I haven't had Biscuitville yet. I don't know anything about Biscuitville. Is it good? Is it worth it?
I've only been once, but from what I've kind of had the experience, it's all right. It's not anything to like super rave about.
Yeah, no, I mean it's all right. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, mostly it's Bojangles, of course. It's probably one of the things, and of course, a lot of people like the Raising Cane's and stuff like that, and Cookout and a whole bunch of different ones. But
I will say, my boyfriend, he's an Avs fan, and I'm just like, I'm proud that he loves something that has the word Canes in it.
Oh, okay.
So that's like my big claim to fame with him. So
that works.
Whatever works, right?
What's the other one? Char Grill.
Oh yeah.
I don't know anything about that.
So I grew up in the Clayton area, first 18 years of my life, and they had one off old Highway 42, kind of by the Food Lion over there. And I've had it a few times. It almost kind of gives me Five Guys vibes, almost,
but just not the price.
Just not the price.
It's not the price. Yeah. So
their shakes are fantastic, I will say.
Yeah, if you're looking for a Five Guys-esque type of food, but don't want to pay an arm and a leg for, that's probably the place you want to go.
Probably Target.
I'll keep that in mind. I will keep that in mind.
Definitely. So, I know we got the season coming up in a few weeks. Opening night and stuff like that. I know you're pretty excited to get back into the swing of things. Like, what are you looking forward to most with opening night? The Steam series coming up later in the year. The road trips. Like, what are you looking forward to this season, venue wise, events wise, and all that stuff going into season 2 for you?
Man, there's a lot there. There's a lot.
I know. I get you a lot of questions in because we can't have you for a long time, so I'm trying to like stack questions. I hate doing that too, but it's like I need to know. I need the Walt Ruff like mindset going into season 2.
So here's what I'm really excited about opening night, because again, last year I got here like 2 weeks before, and I had so much going on in my life. Like I still didn't, as of opening night last year, I still didn't even have furniture in my apartment.
Oh
So,
my
like,
god.
just little things like that. Opening night last year was great. It was super special, but my mind was in a million different places.
Yeah.
Oh, for
Now,
sure.
fortunately, I've gotten all that settled. So, opening night's going to be awesome. What I really want to do this year is I was amazed. I'd heard about the tailgates and stuff, but I didn't really know about the tailgates.
Oh, they're
So,
great.
Yes, sir.
I think
Yes,
I'm going to
sir.
get here early that day and just walk around. And as
Yeah.
long as you're
I
walk
I
around, talk to people.
I might run into you there because I'm taking the day off from work and I'm gonna be there for the tailgating as well. So hopefully I might run into you and be like, hey, it's Walt.
Yeah,
Be prepared to be offered a lot of free food
Yeah,
because like
basically
all the
don't
smokers and grills and people like they really turn it into
I
an
can do that.
event.
I
yeah,
can
so
accept that free food.
yes, yeah. So basically don't worry about eating a big lunch. Eat light. Make like a
Okay.
light salad if you want to do that, and don't worry about the press food because
Okay.
you're gonna be taken well care of at the tailgate. Because if they see you walking around, it's like, Walt, food?
Sure.
And there you go.
Yeah, I'm pumped for that. I'm really, really pumped for opening night. I think that's going to be great. And then the next morning, we get on the plane right away. When we
Mhm.
go
Oh,
for,
yeah.
I think it's 13 days.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah, because it's that circus road trip or whatever. Was it the circus or was something coming into town? I know it's like taking up like a huge chunk of time.
I don't know. I
But
just know about the fair. Maybe that's what.
oh,
Yeah,
that's what it is. Yeah, sorry, not the circus. Yeah, the fair. I forgot. Yeah, the Carolina
yeah.
State Fair. I'm in South
Um,
Carolina. I forget when the Carolina Fair is usually.
no,
I
that's
miss the
okay.
North
That
Carolina
makes
State
sense.
Fair so much. They don't do good state fairs out here. So
I probably should go to that too. I don't know the dates yet, but I should walk over and see the fair too. I didn't have time to last year.
oh,
Right. Yeah.
it's so cool. I will say, like, I mean, being in the South, fried foods are like a huge thing. So they do a lot of that at the fair. But my personal favorite part, what is it? Dorton Arena
Oh,
over there, where they do a lot of the kind of animal related things and stuff like that. That was always like one of my favorite parts as a kid.
Okay, so I'm definitely gonna have to check that out.
oh, for sure.
But then yeah, I'm excited. There were a couple trips or a couple spots, I should say, excuse me, like on this upcoming road trip. Like I saw San Jose last year, I saw Seattle last year, but first time to Edmonton, Calgary, and Vancouver. So that'll be really cool.
There you go.
Definitely excited for that. And then I think, yeah, Stadium Series. I mean, how could you not say it? I'm definitely
Mhm.
excited for once people learn about all the festivities that are going to go into it. I think that's going to be special. Because it's things like that. You have to look at them as it's really just more than just a game, right? It's like this is a once in a lifetime opportunity, whether
Mhm.
you
Oh, for
work it,
sure.
whether you're going just to watch, whether you're playing in it. So I think that's going to be really cool. And then, of course, not to jinx anything, but the playoffs, right? Like the playoffs were crazy
Mhm.
last year, and everybody had
Yeah.
told me like, "Wait till the playoffs, wait till the
Yeah.
playoffs." Like,
Oh, yeah.
It's a different beast.
Yeah,
exactly, it really was.
especially game sevens in that arena. Oh man, you want to talk about loud?
Yeah.
There you go.
So those were awesome, and I mean, I'm sure there's a couple other things escaping the top of my head, but exactly when you've got 5 or 6 different things to talk about before you even get going that you're excited about, it's going to be a really special year.
Oh, 100%.
Absolutely.
I know for Vancouver, I think they have steam powered like clocks out there, like on the main walk area. So
Interesting.
yeah, I think some of them are steam powered. So you might have to check those out. From what I've heard, they have them there. I've never been there. It's one of the areas I want to go check out for
Yeah,
sure.
everybody who's been to Vancouver raves about it, so I'm
Yeah.
excited to see it.
Yeah, because I remember Hannah was talking about she was excited to go see Madison Square Garden for the first time. So I know a lot of people are looking a lot of different barns and a lot of different places to
Mhm.
check out. And I was also listening to the podcast, and I know Shane was trying to figure out his suit game for the season. I have to ask you, Mr. Walt Ruff, how is the suit game been going for you this offseason? Have you updated anything yet? Are you still kind of working on it? Because I know Home Ice Advantage really loves the suit game that you brought last year and the Whalers jacket, because we did have Colin on the podcast and he brought that up. So I want to ask you, how's that going for you? You got any cool stuff coming down the pipe for the wardrobe this season?
I will say nothing crazy at the moment. I have aspirations
Oh,
to
ooh,
add
okay.
Okay.
something,
Interesting.
but it hasn't happened yet. So it
Okay.
might be like one of those, mid-season or like leading up to the trade deadline acquisitions, if you will.
Interesting.
But we'll see. So we'll always. I don't know how many people picked up on it last year, but I have shoes that I wear every opening night that I've worn dating back to my time in the American League. So I'll probably break those out for opening night again this year. They make my ankles bleed like crazy, but I'll probably
tradition is tradition.
Exactly.
All right, well then I definitely need to run into you then for the tailgate for opening night then, just to check out these fine looking shoes that you're kind of like just teasing me right now. So we might have to work something out. But
I'm gonna have to figure out how to make them comfortable enough to wear around the parking lot.
Yeah, definitely for sure. Gonna be doing a lot of walking, especially checking out the tailgates and stuff like that for sure. But Walt, this was so much fun. I know you got to get going. You got a lot of stuff to do because I know you went through 2 different groups of camp today. Got a lot more camp company and stuff like that in the regular season. But this was a lot of fun. We really appreciate you all just being able to come on and talk to us again for part 2.
Well, me for the first time. But
well,
definitely this was great. Yeah, thanks to you all so much. I appreciate it, Zach. Always a pleasure. Bailey, nice to finally do this with you. And keep up the good work, guys. Looking forward to listening to some more shows in the future.
Oh, absolutely. Of course, definitely. We definitely got to figure out a part 3 at some point this season too.
Absolutely.
Just try to get Walt on as much as we can because why not? But before I actually let you go though, where can people find you on social media? And of course, read all your amazing work, the mailbags, all that great stuff. Like, where can people find that? And also you on the socials.
First place I always tell everybody go is hurricanes.com. Everything you hopefully aspire to find out about the team is there. If not, that's a problem on me. So if you go to the website and you can't find something, let me know.
You do phenomenal, sir. Don't worry. You do a great job. Don't have to worry about that.
On social, just at Walt Ruff, and Twitter is my main platform there. Again, trying to keep everybody as informed as possible without annoying everybody and blowing everyone up. So
we love your content. So don't worry about that.
We need more content, Walt. You're not blowing us up. We need more content. Anything Hurricanes, we're okay with.
Zach, don't overwhelm the man.
I just think Walt does such a great job.
Thank you much. I appreciate it.
No, of course. No,
and if like you said, you're traveling with the team, you find yourself in Colorado in November, would love to meet up with you in person.
Oh, yeah. I know. I'm curious to see. I don't have my full travel schedule for the year yet, so I'm as eager as you are to see that one. Colorado was great last year, though. I think Ball Arena is gorgeous.
It's amazing. So definitely let me know if you find yourself there. But again, thank you so much. It was a pleasure meeting you, and have a great rest of your day.
Thanks so much, guys. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks, Walt.
Bye.
All right. Well, that was Walt Ruff.
My God.
So, Bailey, how are you feeling?
I feel like I calmed down a little bit. So kind of got into an element. I feel bad for like bombarding him with questions, but that was such a great interview. Loved getting like a first person, a bird's eye view of kind of everything going on and something like inside scoops. It's so cool. He's such a cool guy.
Yeah, Walt's a great guy. Yeah, you almost got him to reveal something, but you know what? But for the fact that he turns the camera around to show us the actual his shot of the arena, which we all seen from the photos, but just a phenomenal job. To see that shot and talk to him again, it was a lot of fun. It's definitely it's good to have Walt on to get different perspectives, see what he's thinking and stuff like that, and trying to bombard him too many with questions, but it's you don't get the chance to talk to someone that close to the team that much. But no, that was definitely a lot of fun. But so before we get more into the episode, we're actually going to take a quick break right now to talk about our amazing sponsors. But once we come back, we'll do more of the podcast and even get to our Forgotten Canes segment of the show. We'll be right back after these messages from our sponsors. Hey, what's going on, everyone? We'll get back to the references of the episode after we talk about our amazing sponsors of the podcast. First sponsor we're going to talk about is our original OG #1 sponsor, and that is Primo X Hockey. If you're looking for any hockey equipment, if you're talking indoor or outdoor, pucks, sticks, tape, apparel, anything like that, Primo X Hockey is the place to go. If you go to primoxhockey.com, they have an amazing sort of options for stick tapes, stick guards, pucks for indoor and outdoor, laces, all that type of good stuff. Definitely need to check them out. And the good thing, too, is they do ship across the United States for free. Or if you're in the Raleigh area, you can actually pick up at their warehouse, which I've been there before. It's a really great facility. It's really kind of cool how they have that place set up. So I would definitely say if you're in the area, go check them out, because why not support local, especially in the Raleigh area, and with the fact that they're also amazing Caniacs as well. So if you go to primoxhockey.com and if you use the code SurgeCast at checkout, you get 20% off your order. And it helps and it lets them know that we sent you there, and it helps us at the podcast as well. So like I said, definitely a great group of guys. Definitely need to go check them out at primalxhockey.com. Use SurgeCast for 20% off your order, and make sure to go check them out on their socials at primalxhockey. That's on Twitter and on Instagram.
Next up, we have our amazing sponsor in Level Up Snacks, formerly Shocked Hydrate. Amazing, awesome group of people and company over there. If you're looking for some quality snacks and drinks, definitely go check them out. You can use code SurgeCast for 10% off of your order. Amazing sponsor of the podcast. We're super lucky to be working with them. So definitely go check them out. You can go check out their socials on Twitter at Level Up Snacks. Like I said, 10% off, code SurgeCast. Go check them out. Next up, we have our wonderful sponsors at In the Clutch Apparel. If you are looking for some awesome vintage sports apparel, I know they have some Whalers merch on there. If our fellow Hurricanes fans, you will definitely enjoy products coming from them. Not just vintage sports and hockey, though. They have baseball, football, anything your heart desires. Definitely go check them out. And we also have merch on there as well. If you're looking for a hoodie for the upcoming fall winter season, or just a t-shirt to come and rep the amazing SurgeCast, go check them out. You can use code SURGE at checkout for 10% off there as well.
And lastly, the sponsor is not only of the podcast, but it's more so of Belly Up as a whole, and that is Canada Dips. If you're looking for an everyday way to try to wind down from a tough day, or just try and get through the days in general, I would definitely say check out Canada Dips. They're a great CBD company out of California. The good thing is it's hemp only, no THC, so you can just take them whenever you can. They're coming in little pouches, about 10 milligrams, 150 milligrams per can, so you get about 15 pouches of those. They're really great to have. I know for me, it definitely helps with my anxiety. It helps with the joint pains and like all the playing sports and stuff like that. I've used them a lot. I know a lot of people around Belly Up Sports have used them, and I definitely would recommend these things to anyone if you're looking for a way to help you just get through your day and try to wind down and try to get some relaxation and zen into your life. A lot of great flavors. We got the Palmy, which is black tea. They got the new ice cream sundae, which is really good. They got mango. They got watermelon and pina colada and a bunch of other different ones. They even got the normal classics like wintergreen and stuff like that. So definitely go check them out. If you go to CanadipsCBD.com and then /BellyUp20, then that's the link that you can go to and go on the website and order from there as well. Or if not, just go to CanadipsCBD.com. Then at checkout, use BellyUp20 and you'll get 20% off your order. And it actually helps out the global brand of Belly Up Sports if you go use that discount code of Belly Up 20. I couldn't recommend these guys enough. They're great. They're amazing. So definitely check out Canada Dips at CanadipsCBD.com or just normal CanadaDips.com if you're looking for more of something else past just the normal hemp CBD type stuff. But definitely have to go check them out so that we can help us, the podcast, and also Belly Up as a whole. So without further ado, let's send it back to the rest of the episode. And we are back. I'm still riding high from that that interview, Bailey. I don't know. It's a lot of fun, like I said, talking to Walt and then just getting, an understanding of like how everything's going on with them and stuff like that, the traveling and the media and stuff like that. It's cool that the fact that the media is actually back in the locker room, so we're gonna get more than just one or two guys. We're actually getting a plethora of different players and perspectives, but like just Brent Burns being here for a couple months and just amazing everyone, and then just talking to all these different people. And even then, like with Hannah Yates, like that's so cool that the fact that we're going to get to see her go through her first season with the Hurricanes. Like I said, if anyone has not listened to the latest Canes cast, please do so. It is phenomenal. Her sense of humor and the fact that like she's going to fit in really well with this team, because even Mike and Shane both said it. She's going to fit in phenomenally with this team, and I'm just so excited to have everyone back. We got Trip back. We got Mike, Shane, and her. Yeah, I'm excited for the Bally Sports stuff. It's going to be so much fun.
Oh, it's going to be so cool. Yeah, I personally cannot wait, and it's something too. I mean, with Walt just being on, like this is his second season. He's got pretty much a hang of things now. And so it's really exciting for him. And I meant to kind of mention this to him too, but it'll be really cool to not be bombarded with all the craziness going into the season and actually being able to enjoy it the way that it's supposed to be enjoyed as somebody in his role. And I almost feel kind of bad for Hannah Yates because I hope she's not experiencing or she kind of is able to kind of have a more smooth transition because chaos is
I know from that episode she said she was like very welcomed by a lot of people,
which
still getting used to all the trees in the triangle. There's a lot of trees in the triangle.
I had the same kind of culture shock moving out here though, so I totally get it. Like living somewhere that had a lot of trees and then moving somewhere that does not until you go like closer towards the mountains. It's absolutely a culture shock. So I get
it's definitely different. Yeah. For me, I've been in like the triangle and then California and Florida and a whole bunch of other stuff. Yeah, you get a lot of different perspectives of how cities are like in areas are made and built and just figured out and stuff. But something about the triangle with all those trees, it's just it's so great. But no, it was
so great.
It's so great talking. I'm like I said, big wish list people we still need to get on. We still need to get Mike Maniscalco, Shane Willis, Tripp, and we gotta get Hannah Yates on. That would be
my
phenomenal.
Big like top of the like tier bucket list item, which I noticed Jared Ellis, who we had on the podcast, had this at the top of his list too, is John Forsland.
John Forsland would be absolutely amazing. I would be curious to see how that would play out and see how we can get him on the podcast. I know.
I've tried like finding emails or seeing it. Like I don't even know who I would even begin to reach out.
You would probably have to contact Seattle and be like, hey, so I know he's with you guys right now, but if I was able to figure out Chuck Caton too, that'd be another huge one to get Chuck Caton on. Of course, even some players, that would be phenomenal too. But I mean, overall, like it was fun talking to Walt, and of course we talked to Mitcher a few weeks back, so it's definitely
we're starting to check him off.
Yeah, season 2 is on a good start, but so I know we were talking about camp with Walt a little bit. It's like, what were your when you saw the training camp rosters and getting kind of all the news, from your perspective, like what kind of stood out to you from the rosters and just how we're kind of going into the actual like day one of camp?
Yeah, so I feel like Walt really put it best, and a lot of people were kind of talking about it on Twitter too throughout the day today. This is definitely, it is the first day of training camp, so a lot of what we're seeing is just guys, even guys who have been here for a while, just kind of relearning the ropes because like we were kind of talking about, this is not the same team that we saw last season. So there's a lot of kind of chemistry and kinks to work out as far as how lines may or may not be structured. What's going to happen with that 5-6-7 D spot? Because we are a stacked team right now, and to be able to have that struggle, like Walt put it best, that's a good problem to have.
Yeah, like I'd rather have a problem we're having now instead of was it 12,
3, 4,
12,
beginning
13, 14, 15, where it's like, all right, who do we have for this roster?
And even even beginning before free agency, we were super worried about who was going to be Slavin's offensive D-man partner.
Yeah.
And we were super I don't know.
I know Ethan Bear was kind of brought up for that, and I wouldn't have been upset about that because they did kind of work together, and that would have been an okay top line.
That was something I wanted to see so bad, was a Slavo Bear pairing. But I don't know, that's something that a lot of people were worried about, is we were missing that, what was it, right-handed defenseman or left? I forget, was it right hand?
Right hand D. Because you had
we had 2 or 3 2 right-handed defensemen. We were severely lacking, and to be able to look at the roster now and be like, we have way too many is insane.
It's definitely a good problem to have. I think the defense is going to be a big thing to watch, especially with a third D pair and your 7th D man, and I think even your 4th line. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I like how Walt said Martin Necas wants to play a little bit of center. He could be slated for a top 9. I'm curious for the top 9 spot how that's going to work out, and then what do you do with Andre Kasha? Because Kasha is definitely a 3rd line guy. Could you see him playing on the 4th line? Yes.
But again, Rod changes around lines so much that it could be
definitely.
like maybe he sees some top 9 time. Maybe it's not consistent though. Like it would be
Yeah,
with like our top 3 or
it's
top
never really
five.
it's never really the same game in a game out. It's just if there's one line that's on, like the third line when we had Nino, Stahl, and Fost, they kind of just stayed together because they were on fire for most of the season after when they got that figured out. So
yeah, and I know a few people I've kind of talked to too, and this is a conversation Grant and I have all the time is though like I personally really like the versatility that Rod works with our team. I really like that people are and players are so interchangeable in and out of lines, and there's not like one line besides last year with Jordo, Nino, and Fost. You could say this is we know what we're getting out of this line every single time we put them out on the ice, because sometimes Aho, Svetch, and Turbo works. Sometimes sometimes that's the better line. Sometimes the Aho, Jarvis, Turbo line is better. Like it's like I love that we can play around with that versatility, but I've talked with a lot of people who have said that versatility may be the one hurdle that we have too, which was kind of an interesting point to have. Like that consistency may be that piece that we're missing to get over the hump that we're trying to go for the Stanley Cup.
Yeah, like it's good to have versatility, but it's also the bad at the same time, like you said, because you don't want to have too much of it to where it's like you're kind of hindering possible fire lines.
Like making changes in the middle of games just because you know something's not working. Like you want to know what you're getting out of each and every line every single time.
Exactly. You kind of want to have a line. You kind of want to keep lines more so consistent for the most part, so that way you're kind of doing something proper with those type of things. So it's definitely going to be something to watch for sure. But so I know the prospect camp, well, not prospect, the prospect tournament. I know you and me caught a lot of highlights. I think I caught maybe one full game of that entire thing. Like, what stood out for me from the prospect tournament? Like, was there certain players? I know there were some plays that stood out, but like for you, like from what you saw, just from either watching the games or catching some highlights or just reading up on it, like what kind of caught your attention from the prospect tournament?
Ponomarev was, I think, one of the bigger ones for me. Personally, I don't know. This might be just because I didn't get a chance to watch it as much as I would have liked to, just with all the busyness in life lately.
Yeah.
But we have a talented group behind our guys in the NHL. We have like our prospect farm system. I hate calling it a farm system, but like the prospects that we have in our system are insanely talented. And I think a lot of people there's a lot of talent that I think people would really enjoy watching. And that's why I wish like AHL games and OHL and stuff like that were more easily accessible to people, because it's really, really cool to be able to see those prospects grow in their game as well as the game in general, and be able to grow as a player and to be able to see what the future of the franchise looks like.
Yeah, because I know, like, I mean, we do have AHL TV, and the CHL does have like their own like TV stuff that we could buy for streaming, but it's the quality.
I've heard so many bad things about it, though.
The AHL one is pretty bad. I don't know about the CHL ones. I've heard they're kind of okay too, but be able to watch them will be a lot more fun. Like Alexander Passion, that was a fantastic lacrosse goal. That was insane. Bobby Orr put himself out there a lot too with his.
I heard a lot about him too. Yeah.
You're hearing us right. There is a Bobby Orr. It's just not the older Bobby. It's the newer Bobby Orr. But no, he did really well too. I even see Jamison Reese. Like he was brought up a lot during the broadcast. Like he stood up for, like you see why he was the captain of the prospect tournament, because just of all the stuff that he did was fantastic. And just like you saw a lot of stuff that played really well. Like you said, Ponomarev. How about Hammerla? Just absolutely stood on his. Like I felt bad for the last two goals because it was just a lot of rebounds and a lot of like just bad clearings by the defense. But I think how Hammerla played in game 3 was just absolutely phenomenal. Like I thought he did a great job.
Dude's going to be a unit.
Game 2. Yeah, sorry, it was game 2 because game 3 was Monday. But game 2 after the 5K, he did a phenomenal job. I thought he played out of his mind.
Yeah.
For that. I mean, even Blake Murray, 2 tucks. That was fantastic. Even like the full on wrister to win in an OT, just a phenomenal shot by him. Like, I think he kind of stood out too for the most
I will
part.
say what was kind of interesting to me, just kind of looking at the teams to kind of getting away from prospect camp a little bit and how that ties into training camp. The fact that Kochetkov is on C2, whereas Hammerl is on C1.
Yeah, I'm gonna say they're probably gonna interchange those guys out a lot too, but I think they're I think they want to have Kochetkov kind of getting used to his teammates for the most part.
That's
we know he's gonna be in Chicago, so I guess they don't really want to do a lot of game one, like group one ice time. I think they were just trying to balance out the goalies because for 3-3 and stuff like that. I think because of the fact of how much they saw in Hammerla, I think they kind of were like, okay, here's the potential number 2 if he does play in Chicago with Kochetkov. If not, he might go back to the CHL. But I think Hammerla just plays out of his mind. I think it's kind of interesting how you brought that up too. It's like it's interesting, but I think it's kind of like just given.
I see why. Like, I see why, but I just thought it was interesting. And the interesting thing is, too, just kind of having the training camp roster pulled up, too. There's only a 10-pound difference between the two. But other than that, like, they are pretty similarly built goalies. And so I'm interested to see and hear more about how similar their playing styles might be. And if they are interchangeable, how does that kind of play out with the different groups and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think it's definitely going to make things really interesting just for the goalies. And then like even the forwards, like because you see Jack Drury on the C1 line, and you see Chatfield and all of the the PTO guys. Like you can kind of see like even Ray DeZingle is part of like C2, so you kind of like the core guys are, and you kind of know who your group 2 is. Like this, and like
there's no surprises.
No, even like what Walt said, Seth Jarvis was part of C2 last year and just came out of nowhere during camp and preseason. And
you
then,
mean predicted breakout player of the season, Seth Jarvis?
Yeah, sorry, yeah. The guy who should have been nominated, who should have been a finalist for the Calder, but that's here or there. But I mean, could there be someone making a case? Possibly.
Yeah.
But for me, and like I'm not trying to say it's not an absolute, because only cis work in absolutes, which is also an absolute of itself. But hey, Star Wars nerd, there's no way I'm not using that reference.
Proud. Yes.
Yeah, even though it's an absolute of itself, and people don't realize that, but it is. For me, it's gonna be really tough for a C2 guy to break this lineup with just the PTO guys alone, with Stepan coming back and Calvin Ahang getting a PTO spot. You're looking at. I saw even Steven Noeson's part of the first group too, and it's like, oh, that's going to be tough for him too, because you're looking at, you got Kasha, you just brought Stastny in. There's a lot of names. Like Max Pacioretty's name was there. Of course, he's not going to be.
And I was going to say that's going to be interesting how that plays out once he's back.
That's definitely going to be a future us problem on another podcast in about February. Like, all right, what are the kids going to do?
But this is something we kind of talked about, or I talked about with Brad and Ray on the Storm Cellar too, is they predicted 6 months for Pacioretty to come back from his injury. That is fast for an Achilles injury.
Well, I was actually talking to my dad about this today, because it's different when you're looking at baseball and basketball, where you're like using you have to plant your foot so much. I think it's the fact you're on skates and you're not having to step as much. You're kind of just like
it's gliding motions,
gliding motions, So I think it's a little bit different for the fact that from him being a hockey player, instead of like these other sports where you have to land on your feet and have that mobility of stopping and twisting and moving as much. I mean, you still twist a lot. I mean, you still twist a lot, move your feet a lot in hockey too, but it's not that sudden, constant impact every like.
Yeah,
so I think that might be a difference with hockey players compared to regular.
But at the same time, an Achilles tear is an Achilles tear.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, that is. Yeah, no, I totally agree with you there. Like that is definitely
so. But it's this is something we kind of mentioned too. Is Pacioretty's known to be a fast healer. So whether 6 months is a fast average to kind of put on it, but maybe that's just kind of knowing his healing abilities and how he kind of takes care of it that way. It'll be interesting to see when we actually kind of start talking about that problem.
Yeah, it definitely will be an interesting thing to talk about once we get closer to that too. And like I said, it's definitely, because you talk about the other sports where it takes at least a year to get back. With hockey, it's like, no, it's 6 months. So it could be sooner, it could be later. I guess it all depends.
Mm-hmm.
And we were talking about with Walt, like Jake Gardner not coming back. I know Rod said that like it's just he's had some setbacks and stuff like that. So that's gonna be another interesting aspect too. Like, what are they gonna do with him when he's back and available too? So that's definitely a Don Waddell problem that I'm kind of glad I don't have to worry about, because that's
reason number 5,100 whatever why I'm glad I'm not Don Waddell.
Yeah, essentially, it's. Luckily, we just get to talk about the Hurricanes and just react to them rather than trying to figure out, okay, how are we going to set this roster up? I have absolutely no idea.
We're fans who like to have an opinion. Our opinion doesn't necessarily matter in the grand scheme of things.
No, everyone has an opinion, and sometimes we all know how that usually works out. So
my dad has a saying a lot. Opinions are like a-holes. Everybody has one. So
yeah, that's a pretty common misnomer and just phrase of like, everyone's got one. No. Does it matter? Probably not. No.
Love that we get to have them though. At least
exactly
on a platform like this, but
we're less than a week away from preseason hockey. We're less than 3 weeks away from regular season hockey, and the fact that I get to be there for opening night,
I'm so jealous.
I know. I'm so excited. Like,
you have to send pictures and take lots of them.
Oh, but you believe me, opening night on the 25th anniversary season, it's gonna happen. If I'm lucky enough, I hope to run to Walt. That would be absolutely fantastic.
Yeah,
just be able to do that. I know there's a tailgating group right now on our group chats and Twitter that I need to talk to. Be like, all right, what are we doing? How are we going to figure this out? Because be able to go and tailgate that game is just going to be so much fun. And
I'm just excited for the tailgating on for the the Stadium Series, and the fact that we kind of mentioned it in the interview with Walt. They're allowing people on the field. For this.
Yeah. I'm curious to see how much those tickets are going to go for and like what the activities are around there as well. But tailgating is going to open like super early. It's going to be like 8, 9 o'clock. It's a 7 p.m. puck drop on Saturday night. Like, bruh. Like, it's going to be absolutely insane. But
people are going to be showing up at 8 a.m. So
100%.
People are going to be drunk by noon.
See, for me, it's gonna be a lot of storm brews, but it's gonna be like a periodic, like
you gotta pace yourself.
Yeah, I'm not gonna get sloppy drunk for the stadiums here because I want to remember that game. So it's gonna be a lot of just give me some sweet teas and waters for the most part, maybe a couple sodas, and then we'll just pace ourselves. Maybe add in a couple storm brews, just for.
Well, I had, like we've mentioned before, I haven't tried storm brew, so I finally need to try that once I get there. Maybe whether I try it on Saturday or Thursday, though, is that question. So.
Well, I know in the arena it's $5, which it's for a stadium beer, it's worth it. It's worth it. Plus, like the can is kind of dope. Like I'm not gonna lie. Like
I get it just for the can alone. Yeah.
Oh, like I bought a 12-pack from the Food Lion in, I think it was Cary, and not that expensive. And I kept one of the cans and I kept the box because I told you that like how Tara's gonna like cut the stuff up and like figure all that stuff out. Like try to make coasters or like a little like framed thing for it because the box is really nice and the can's really cool too. So obviously I kept one. How can you not keep a Storm Brew can for as a collector's item? Because for us, we're not in North Carolina. We just can't get a Storm Brew. So it's one of those things where it's like, you kind of have to keep the can just because it's nice. It looks fantastic. So nice. But I mean, for a light beer, it's good. I enjoy it. I know a lot of people are kind of like, oh, it's mediocre. Oh, it's a light beer. It's whatever. I'm
not a beer person, so I don't have many expectations. So
it's a nice, crisp, light lager, as Mike Maniscalco likes to say. And if R&D Brewing, if you're listening, I know I tweeted at you guys, but if you're listening, let's work something out because we wouldn't be upset if we were sponsored by you guys. So
no, not at
all. Why not?
Please.
Please, we need some more Storm Brews in our life. So
help this girl try her first Storm Brew, please.
Right. So we've talked about a lot about training camp. We did the prospect showcase. We talked to Walt Ruff. Not a lot of other big news really came out for the Hurricanes, other than the fact that today was day one of training camp, and the Raleighwood shirt Brent Burns was wearing. I need that in my life. That thing is.
People sent you Etsy links. So.
Oh, did they? Oh, I haven't checked my Twitter in a while.
They replied to that post with Etsy links. So.
Yeah, those Etsy links. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know, but that was a cool shirt. I'd love to have that.
Oh, no, for sure. Carolina Pro Shop. Maybe just go on there or something like that. But I know Brian Sign from House of Jerks. Gosh, I really got
about that.
if he hears this and I fumble his podcast, I'm not going to hear it because I'm actually sitting with him at the Stadium Series. So I really don't want to mess that up because he's going to chirp me the entire time.
Refund on your ticket. Here you go.
Refund on my tickets and my 25th anniversary patches that he's getting me to. Yikes. Yeah. Definitely want to mess that up. But no, big, I appreciate him being able to hook me up with that and all that. I'm just so excited. Hopefully it works out for you and Kat because I know you're waiting until October 4th for that, which isn't too long from now either. No, so cross your fingers that it works out.
So we've already talked about it too. We've pretty much got almost everything set up. It's just a matter of me sending her the money, which, like I said, I'm so grateful to my parents for financing most of the trip.
Yeah, right.
Because like I said, my mom bought the plane tickets. My dad's buying, or at least he's paying for most of my ticket.
Right.
Which is really, really nice. So I'll have to kind of worry about for myself is food. And my best friend's already said, like, we're going grocery shopping together and cooking for you. Don't worry about paying that money.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, I'm debating if I want to go up to the Thursday night game for Montreal because the fact that we're actually driving up that Friday because we're getting a hotel Friday night and Saturday night.
Yeah.
So that way I'm not driving up Saturday morning 3.5 hours and then get into the tailgate and it's already going to be popping off and I'm like, I miss a good part of it. So I'm debating if I want to get up to Raleigh for the Thursday night game, which I am off that day, but it's like, oh, that's tough.
Yeah.
Driving back, getting back at like 2 a.m, then getting up and then driving up to Raleigh Friday.
Yeah.
That's definitely a debating situation to be able to do that. But just be able to get a hotel for a couple nights, go to the game Saturday and tailgate all day.
Yeah.
Hopefully,
I guess that's the perks for me having friends that still live in the area too, is that saves me a boarding fee.
Yeah, for sure. But hopefully in our very cool Stadium Series jerseys, that will be rocking at the Stadium Series game. That'll be a lot of fun. But I'm so excited to get the 25th anniversary jersey. Like I know I've talked.
I have a job, so I can actually save up and pay for it now.
There you go. There you go.
Congratulations! Got a big girl job, and I'm so. Yeah.
Congratulations on your your adult job.
I know. I'm very. I wanted to call it a big girl job when I texted you earlier, and I was like, maybe just call it a big kid job because that's what it is.
I mean, hey, either one works. Hey, no judgment here. There's no judgment on this podcast unless you have bad takes about the Hurricanes. I will judge you then. But or your fandom of certain hockey teams, then we might judge you a little bit. But. No, it's all good.
But yeah, no, I'm super excited about that. I already talked to them too. I was like, hey, letting you know I'm going to be out of town these days in February. Thank God I only work Monday through Thursday, so I have Fridays off anyway. So
there you go. Flying Friday.
All I have to worry about are Wednesday and Thursday. And she was like, I've already put it on the calendar. You were good to go. I was like, yes.
All right. This job's already fantastic. So it's already working out for you. It's like, yeah, by the way, and they're like, you're good. We got you. It's like, thanks, fam.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. All right. So before we finish the podcast, I think it's that time. I know we've been kind of talking. We've been talking kind of, we've been rambling for the last few minutes, but it's just trying to process the emotions of the fact that hockey's officially back for the most part with training camp and all that. It's like not a lot of huge news, but it's just us. I guess just us trying to get our thoughts out of like, oh my gosh, it's finally here.
Yep.
Like I said, even though it's training camp, it's still hockey for the most part. We're done waiting. But I think it's that time for everyone's favorite segment right before we leave the podcast. It's our Forgotten Canes. And Bailey, who's your Forgotten Canes for season 2, episode 13?
So I'm straying away from my new guys again this week.
Interesting.
So my guy was drafted 7th overall by the LA Kings, but did not start his career with the LA Kings. He spent from 1997 till 2002 in Carolina. We got him from Vancouver and traded him to Calgary once his time with us was done. His best season was the 2000-2001 season where he had 23 goals, 29 assists for 52 points total. Coming from Shawinigan, Quebec, Canada. Left wing, Martin Jelena.
Martin Jelena. Fantastic choice.
So.
Which, by the way, he did get hosed in Calgary against the Tampa Bay in the yikes. But no, Martin Jelena, wow. That is a fantastic pick.
I'm so proud. I've got high praise. I'm happy.
I can respect that. I
told you I was going. I'm going earlier, so I'm mixing it up a little bit.
I kind of had a suspicion who you're talking about. He sounds familiar. That you said Martin Jelena. I'm like, oh yeah.
There we go.
There you go.
So, who is yours?
All right, so my guy, it's kind of recent-ish, not really. Nah, I mean, not really. He played for the Hurricanes from the 2006-2007 season to the 2009-2010 season. So I guess relatively new-ish compared to what I usually pick, you would say. 4 seasons in Carolina, 213 games played, 43 goals, 60 assists for 103 points. His best season was his first season with the team in 2006-2007, where he got 51 points, 21 goals, 30 assists, was a -10 that year. And then after that, he kind of had a massive dip in playing because he played like 58, 41, and 42. But he played 33 in 2009, 2010. So he did have a big drop off after the 06-07 season, which was his age 33 year. So you kind of saw a big dip out of him in terms of that. But he was so he was a Vancouver draft pick, 5th round, 124th overall in the 1993 NHL entry draft. And that tells you just how long this guy has been playing. He's from Cambridge, Ontario, right wing. He is the one and only Scott Walker.
Ooh, okay.
Scotty Walker. Yes, I know a lot of people have interesting thoughts about him. He was definitely one of those players that really... He was interesting. He was an interesting player for the most part, but no, Scotty Walker.
Gonna start judging your players again.
Brad always judges my players. I don't know what he really wants out of me at this point. It's like he's calling me Gramps. I'm only 31. Like, Brad, you're older than me. Like, what are you talking
Technically,
about?
That was both Brad and Ray, so you can't just give that credit to Brad. But
I mostly talk to Brad because I don't really talk to Ray a whole lot. But Ray, okay, I see you. How dare you? And
sorry
Brad,
to sell you out, guys.
Yeah, Ray, you just got thrown under the bus by Bailey. I was just going to yell at Brad, but
much love.
I was just going to yell at Brad, but now you can blame Bailey for that one.
Please don't take my episode down off your podcast. I love you guys.
But I do talk to Brad because I do run a hockey page with him, and sir, we're going to have some words. So how dare you?
Yeah.
But honestly, though, Martin Jelena, Scott Walker, fantastic picks.
Great tandem for the episode today.
Oh, for sure. We've been pretty on fire with a lot of these picks. I like last week's where I said Martin Furker, and you guys were like, oh, yeah. He did play for the Canes for a whole two. So it still counts. But I know we're running at about 5:30. It's kind of getting a little bit late. But I know if everyone who's listening to this, we did record on Thursday, so it was day 1 of camp. It's going to drop on Friday. If you're listening to it now, it's our usual. It's a day later we usually drop the episode, but, you know,
we're preparing you for the regular season where drops might get chaotic.
Yeah, especially with Walt's schedule. You know, it's camp day. He's got a lot of stuff going on, so it's one of those things. So yeah, so regular season, we are going to have to preference this now. Regular season is coming up. We're definitely going to be playing a lot of. It's not going to be the same day every week because it's like with, you know, our jobs. You know, certain games are going to be on certain nights, so it's not going to be a certain day, because I know last year was a lot of Friday recordings, drops on Sundays for the most part, because that's when it was me by myself when we had guests on and all that. With both of us now, you might get it on a Tuesday, you might get it on a Saturday. It all really depends on when the Hurricanes are playing, because I'm going to make sure that we are not recording on a game night. So I'm not missing any games this year. Because
imagine us recording after Canes After Dark.
I've seen Kane's Twitter after dark, and no one wants that for this podcast.
Well, at least on the East Coast, it's not really Canes After Dark for me. I guess I'm privileged. but I'm sorry.
You're watching the YouTube version. You're seeing my reaction right now.
Giving me a glare.
It's like, oh, look at me. I live in the mountain time zone where I get a 2-hour difference. You know what?
I mean, on the flip side though, it's going to be kind of rough for me though too, because I get off of work at 6,
and a lot of games are going to be at 5 o'clock Mountain
Yep.
time.
So I'm going to have to go and rewind and rewatch nights. So nobody spoil anything. I'm staying off of Twitter for those days. So nobody tell me anything.
Just pull up your or let's say pull up your
ESPN+.
That, or you can say just pull up your NHL app and just listen to the radio version of the game.
That's true.
And do that, or ESPN Plus too, if work will allow you to do that. I don't know.
I don't even I don't think I'm allowed to have headphones in anyway, just because we have to be interacting with people. So, but
hey, maybe get lucky. Maybe you convince your work to throw on. If you guys got TVs in there, just throw it on the TV. Like, hey, can we put
this is a clinic in Colorado.
Hey, you never know. You never know.
I'm just saying, they were really kind of like taken aback when I told them I ran a podcast, and they were like, "Oh, that's so cool. If you ever need any help with anything," and I was like,
Do pray tell what do you mean by this?
Like, can I at least have headphones in so I can listen to my boys? Like,
for sure.
Can I preface this to patients? Like, hey, I don't know, but
yeah, I'm not ignoring you. I'm just listening to the Hurricanes again because I run a podcast and I got stuff to do.
Show you this exercise real quick, then I got to
bye.
That would be bad. I'm trying to make a good impression.
Yeah, for sure, but if you've made it this far, an hour and 20-something minutes in, we really appreciate it. It might be a little bit shorter because of recording time and we're going to have to do some edits and stuff like that. But if you've made it this far on the actual final cut of the episode, we appreciate y'all. Hope everyone enjoyed the Walt Ruff interview, discussion talk, because I know it's part 2. I know a lot of people are excited for this one. But, Bailey, as always, this was fun.
This was so great.
Talking Hurricanes, we're finally there. We're finally there.
Close.
I know.
So freaking close.
I know.
I can't wait.
Yeah, it's going to be so much fun. 25th anniversary season.
There's a lot to look forward to.
Yeah. We finally get to hang out in person for the first time of the Stadium series. It's like, let's go.
Yeah. Maybe record an in-person podcast. Might have to bring out my microphones. We'll see.
Well, we could figure out probably Friday night, maybe the day before, because I know it's we're all going to try to be there. Hopefully, maybe try to get Kat in for an in-person interview too. Yeah, we got to get us, Kat, whoever else is going to be there. Just try to get everyone together for the tailgate, because that'll be a lot of fun too.
Oh yeah.
Just be able to do that. Talk to Brad, talk to Brian. I don't know. We definitely have to get something set up for sure. But if we do an in-person one, I guess depending on what time you get in Friday.
So I'm like I said, I'm getting in Wednesday.
Oh, that's right. So. We definitely need to figure out something for Friday night then. If we're able to go.
If I'm not doing something with, because I know there's a bunch of I do have a life outside of hockey, unfortunately.
Do we really though? Do we really?
I'm taking this trip solely to go to a hockey game. What do you think? But
there you go. But before we actually go, and now people are like, "Come on, just end the podcast."
Midwestern
already.
Goodbye.
Someone who's from the Midwest, I am totally sorry about that. Every podcast that I'm on, it happens all the time. So just blame me. It is what it is. But Bailey, where can people find you on the socials?
You can find me on Twitter at Bailey Curtis, and that is Bailey with 2 Y's. Hockey, whatever, come talk to me. Love chatting it up with people. If you're looking for a little more kind of a personal insight on life, you can check me out on Instagram at Bailey Lynn Curtis. Sometimes post some hockey stuff, but go check me out over there.
Yes, and you can check me out at the One True Zach on Twitter. That's O-N-E True Zach. Just talk about any type of sports mainly, but it is hockey season, so I did preface this on my Twitter. It's going to be 90% Canes, 10% hockey in general. There might be a small mix, but that's like a 0.0000 infinity to 1 of that. So it's that time, Bailey. It's just nothing but hockey and Hurricanes. That's all. It's all it's going to be for my Twitter. So
I'm so ready.
If you're not there for that, I'm sorry, but
you're missing out.
Hey, so you got to keep the grind going for your hockey stuff. If you want to get to know me of just maybe personal stuff, I don't really post a whole lot of personal stuff on my Instagram, but got a new handle on my Instagram. It's no more Zach R. Martin 22. It's Caniac Zach.
Oh.
So The other
Okay.
Zach from Pour for Scores, I got your name. So
Watch
there. I finally got
out,
Keeney.
buddy.
I finally got Keeniac Zach. I'm trying for my
Coming for your
Twitter.
brand.
Hey, but you know what? There's only one true Zach, and that's this guy. But if you want to check out the podcast, go check out the SurgeCast on Twitter. We got the link tree. You can check out where you can find our podcast to listen to, and also check out our YouTube. Which, if you do, and if you're watching us right now, whenever this does drop, thank you for watching our podcast. And make sure to subscribe, like the video, and click the bell for notifications, because for the YouTube algorithm, we have to say that. So please do so. Like, subscribe, hit the bell, all that good stuff, because it'll help us out as well. If you want to help us out some more, please go rate the podcast on your podcast platforms. If you leave it 5 stars and you leave us a review, we might actually shout you on the podcast. So make sure to do that as well, because we definitely want to hit top 100 for podcasts. So that would be fantastic. So I guess that's pretty much it, Billy. I don't think we have anything else really to talk about. So I mean, no.
Hockey's almost back, baby. Get ready.
Let's go. And until next week, for episode 14 of season 2 of the SurgeCast, I'm Zach.
I'm Bailey.
And we will see you next time here at the SurgeCast.
Thank you for listening to this Belly Up Media production. Some said we'd go belly up, so we made it our name. And we're still here.